Hi everybody, I'm Justin Clark. This is my presentation on gun laws. Woo! Alright, good morning everybody, or afternoon, or whatever it is once again. Today, my presentation is called The Fault in Our Laws. I'm wanting to know if more gun laws and regulations prevent mass shootings in the U.S. We're all well too aware of the mass shootings that happen in America. They are highly tragic, emotional, and highly publicized. Nearly after every tragedy, there seems to be heated discussions in the media over gun regulations and what should be done. Many say there needs to be limits on the amount of ammo or gun we carry, or the semi-automatic gun should be banned altogether. One topic that is very controversial is that background checks need to be stricter and more thorough. Even though many of these laws are already in place, no one seems to have the right answer. By applying more regulations, when does it start to impede on the rights of the people that actually abide by the law? While I was stationed in California, we were subject to one of the strictest gun laws in the country. In California, they have what they call is a bullet button, and in an assault rifle, what they call an assault rifle, or an AR, an automatic, semi-automatic rifle, what is required to have on an AR-15 is a bullet button. What this does is it prevents the shooter from quickly releasing the magazine to reload the AR. So what they have to do is grab a bullet and put the tip into the bullet, or into the button, and then the magazine is released. And that's for people that want to abide by the law in California. But not everybody does, obviously, and there's always ways around it, such as the magnet as displayed here on the left. What the magnet does, it goes over the top of that, which has a simulated little button over there, and then you put that button, that magnet over the button, and when you push it, it's just like your regular AR, and you're basically cheating the system, but there's no law against that. Also, another law in California that we weren't too happy about was they go to 10-round magazines only. Same here in Colorado, where there's only 15-round magazine limits. When you're outside shooting an AR, you want to be able to have fun and just shoot 30 rounds is a blast to do. So when you're only shooting 10 rounds and having to reload after every 10 rounds, it kind of takes the fun out of it when you're shooting for sport. Once again, those are for people that want to abide by the law. Many people, like the San Bernardino shootings that just happened, they're obviously using 30-round magazines, and when you're bringing those up against the law-abiding citizens trying to defend themselves, they only have 10 rounds, you're going to lose. So the only thing that these laws do is restrict the people who actually abide by the gun laws. Banning the use of semi-automatic weapons seems to be one of the first arguments that is brought up when a tragedy happens. According to the Webster's Dictionary, a semi-automatic is defined as a firearm able to repeatedly but requiring release of pressure of the trigger for each successive shot. So what that means is every time you pull the trigger, you're firing a bullet. So as opposed to the bolt-style rifles, where you actually have to manually enter the bullet after each round and chamber another round and release the bolt. So, and basically manually ejecting it. In reality, opponents of these style rifles often says that they're for military use only, that they should only be in the hands of civilians, where they're just used for mass killings. But there's a lot of enthusiasts out there that enjoy the capability of out shooting on the range and shooting multiple times in a row, especially if you're trying to line your gun up and get some new sights or any new items you might have on the gun. Being able to reload less frequently for shooting recreational purposes is just plain fun. It just so happens that when you're adjusting the different attachments, it's a lot easier to do rather than having to worry about your magazine and what else needs to be done with it. When purchasing a gun legally in the United States, you must pay for a federal background check. Sorry, our display's not working properly, so we have a small one on here. But you can get it off the FBI website and take a look at it, and it shows everything that you have to do to submit this form, and then the FBI does a background check on you. These are good forms. They have stopped over 2.4 million transactions. Most applications are completed within minutes. They can take up into days. Like in California, when you first submit this form, you have to wait 10 days to make sure you're cleared on that purchase before you can actually go in and purchase your rifle. Most of them are like a 3-day wait period though. The only thing that's controversial and what's kind of up in the air about it is that the mental health problems, they can only be diagnosed by a judge. So even though somebody could be seen a mental health professional in another state or wherever, unless they're deemed by a judge as mentally unstable, they'll be able to pass this background check form. And we have some examples of that on here. So everybody knows of James Holmes here in Colorado, in Aurora, Colorado. He was actually able to buy all his firearms legally. He bought most of them up at Bass Pro in Denver. He was able to pass through the background check and purchase all these rifles and shotguns, and we all know what happened in the tragedy. But he came up from San Diego, and when he was in school down there, he was actually being seen by a mental health physician that was really actually very concerned about him. And so there's actually a lot of history of showing his mental instability, but the only thing is because it was never deemed bad by a judge, as in he was never in trouble with the law. He was able to go through the background check without being reported in, and he was able to buy those guns lawfully. The man next to him here is Enrique Marquez. He was involved in the San Bernardino shooting. He was actually the main purchaser of the weapons for the 2 perpetrators that committed the crimes. So he actually bought the guns and gave them the guns, and they committed the crimes. There's still an ongoing investigation into him. He's in court right now, where he was actually into some radical Islam stuff that he's not as innocent as he sounds when he's talking about what role he played. Like he could have been involved a lot more. And this other person here, Dylan Roof, he's another one that where the FBI, the background check failed. He's the one who killed 9 people in Charleston at a church. Yeah, Charleston Church, and he's only 21 years old. And he also legally purchased a firearm, but it was due to flaws in the paperwork and communication between an FBI ground worker and the state law enforcement allowed him to buy a handgun. Basically, he was deemed unnecessary to be owning a firearm or anything like that, and the sheriff's department basically lost the paperwork trail on it, and so they didn't have anything on it, and he was able to purchase that firearm when clearly he shouldn't have been from all of his mental history. So, and that's where I have the issue with the FBI. I wish they could look into people's health history a little bit more. I wish they wouldn't be deemed by a judge. I think, I know there's the privacy laws that are coming through, but I wish people would be able to look into their actual health histories to see what can be done to prevent them from getting their hands on the guns. There are many fine lines when it comes to personal information, but when it comes to purchasing a weapon, I believe everything should be on the table. In conclusion, enforcing more laws on the weapons only affects the people that abide by the laws. Giving the FBI ability to access more medical records and not relying on a judge to deem a person mentally unstable could have an impact on potential mass murderers from accessing guns legally. The end. Any other opinions? But yes, ma'am. No? Yes, ma'am. I know you're anti-gun.
Well, a parent can have, or someone can have a gun at a house, and someone that has mental issues can get their hands on it.
But that's where the owner of the weapon should have it secured and locked up at all times.
But you just don't know that it is.
No, you don't.
Most mass shootings happen in places where they have the most laws against guns, like in France. And if there would have been other people in that arena where hundreds of people were shot and killed, if somebody else were to have a gun, probably wouldn't have happened.
They could have stopped him
Yep.
earlier.
Yep. It might deter some people. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have to pay for a background check
Yes, you have to pay for a background check.
What?
So they do
Someone
their,
has to do
yes.
it.
They have to get paid for their services. Is that it? Alrighty, thank you.